Coming up on Talk is Cheap, we're going to take a look at the Wilson dock leak, ladies and gentlemen. High-level people in our military discussing the UFO phenomenon. Up next on Talk is Cheap. Welcome to Talk is Cheap, where cheap is talk, and talk is cheap, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dan Hohlfeld. Thank you so much for joining me today. On my left is none other than Mr. Pete Halbleib. Pete.
Good afternoon, Dano. How's it going? And how's it going, planet Earth and beyond?
And beyond. That's your signature.
I guess, yeah, it kind of just stuck with me. It's kind of cool because I think that, like, you're not just constrained to being on the planet to watch the show. So I want to make sure we're not leaving anyone out.
That's absolutely true. We probably got some people watching from the Pleiadian galaxy, the Arcturians.
Yes, right. Yep.
Because they think this is all a joke here, because the way we act as humans is pretty pathetic at times.
Yeah, it is. Myself included, unfortunately, with that one.
Ooh. Yeah, that's right.
Slowly but surely, it's all happening.
Oh, God.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give a shout out to our voicemail before this episode. We get a lot of tips, tricks, questions, whatever you guys have. That's voicemail is 1-256-510-5234. 1-256-510. K2D4 is the number to call in. Let us know how you're doing. Say we're a joke. Say we're cool. Say we're stupid. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, whatever you'd like.
It's all there, and we'll play it on the show. We'll be playing that message on our next episode, which is awesome to hear that. So, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, this topic was suggested by Michael Landsman. He sent me an email. He said, check this out. Because there's some substance here. Now, this is the Wilson dock leak, ladies and gentlemen, that took place. I believe it was in June this thing dropped. Huge stuff. So I'm going to give it in a nutshell, and I want to read I got some parts highlighted in the document itself. So in a nutshell, what this is, the Wilson dock leak is a 2-hour conversation between Admiral Thomas Wilson and Lieutenant Commander William Miller. And Dr. Eric Davis was writing this down in 2002, but the conversation between those two military people took place in 97. Interesting stuff was said, because what happened was Admiral Thomas Wilson wanted oversight over the back engineering of the UFO stuff. And basically they told him, hey, you can't have access to that. And he got upset. He's like, he demanded
that he get let in on it.
And they wouldn't do it.
So, but we're talking 22 years ago, 97, right? This took place.
Yep. I'm not that quick with math, so I'll take your word for it.
Yep.
So Admiral Wilson, he was in the U.S. Navy. He was a director of the DIA from the Defense Intelligence Agency.
Thank you. I was just going to ask.
From 99 to 2002, and then the director of intelligence for Joint Chiefs of Staff from 97 to 99. Again, these notes that I'm going to be showing on here are taken between Wilson and Dr. Eric Davis, because he was just reiterating it and getting it written down. But he was a scientist in the 1990s, and he worked for the National Institute for Discovery Sciences. And that was owned by Robert Bigelow.
Dude, that's so cool.
Where's my...
Do you think Bigelow would ever come on the show?
I don't know.
Too high profile.
Not unless I was a sexy woman, maybe.
Really?
I don't know. Try to get him on. See if he does. And
I should. We were just talking about that before we went on air.
Because he's the one that actually says that there's an ET presence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he rubs elbows with some serious players in the government and businesses
that
too.
He does.
So
yep.
He seems like a cool guy to hang out with.
He was a former owner, of course, of Skinwalker Ranch. Mm-hmm. So this doctor...
So Bigelow, he doesn't own the ranch anymore?
No, he sold it from what I read. Actually, it's been a few years now. He hasn't owned it. So Dr. Eric Davis, working under Bigelow, he studied Skinwalker Ranch. And he's also got close ties with Hal Puthoff. Remember Hal Puthoff?
I
You
don't.
don't remember? This
No.
is the To the Stars Academy guy.
Oh, yep.
And he's also researching like black holes and all that stuff. So he's,
Hal, yep.
Yep. So he's got a lot of background in this disclosure initiative, if you will. So the big thing about this, like I said, Wilson was Deputy Director for Intelligence for Joint Chiefs of Staffs for the Pentagon. He wanted to be in on this, read in it, because he's supposed to oversee this stuff. They said, no, you can't do it. It basically confirms reverse engineering of ET craft.
Yep.
And they make that apparent in here because they said, could it be from a different country? No, this is not made here, they specifically stated.
Something about non-human or something like that, I suppose.
And then it gets into a rogue part of the government that's got this whole program. They're managing it. Stephen Greer, Edgar Mitchell, the Apollo 11 astronaut. And of course, everybody knows Stephen Greer. They want this to be brought under government oversight, the real government that the people elect. Well, you think you elect.
Not like the black budget government that's being run, right?
Out
the
of
shadow
control
governments and stuff.
Now, of course, to tie this in now, when we get into this article here, this is rumored to come from Edgar Mitchell. Excuse me, that was Apollo 14 Edgar Mitchell was. I made a mistake on that. So Apollo 14. So Edgar Mitchell passed away on February 4th, 2016. And they're believing that he had these documents. This was in there. And when he passed away, it was like somebody found it or he made it happen.
Or he made sure somebody found it kind of deal.
And that's the thing. That's like a lot of people get threatened who are in these programs.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy the mysterious ways people can die when they have information that other people are afraid they're going to start talking about.
Definitely.
So they have these kill switches in place because I'm on my deathbed. I don't care anymore. Release it. So then this is what we're going to see a lot of this stuff, especially with the TTSA initiative releasing all the government knowledge of the testing of the craft and stuff. So let's get into this document. It's about 16 pages.
Ooh, fun.
Like I said, this is rumored to come from Dr. Edgar Mitchell, Apollo 14 astronaut. I'm going to try to click through.
No onions.
Recorded on October 16th, 2002 by, again, Dr. Eric Davis. Now, okay, well, this took place when Eric Davis met with Admiral Wilson at the EG&G Special Projects Building. Now, that's what really interesting about that is that they also operate Janet airports in Las Vegas. What's the Janet airport flights, Pete?
I don't know.
Come on, I should know this one for 500. Where's
Is that like the stripper flights or something like that? Or I don't know. I don't know. Janet Air. They do the flights to. Oh no, the Janet.
There you go.
Flights, right? With flying people into Area 51, 52, something like that, right? Did I get it?
You got her.
I got it.
That's
All right. Woo!
Yep.
Hey, that made me feel good.
That's very interesting right there off the bat.
Took a little bit. I appreciate you coaxing that out of me. It was in there.
Jeopardy questions. So I'm going to skim through. Like I said, there's a lot here. I highlighted some really good stuff. Now, here is a document that was sent to Dr. Eric Davis from Willard Miller. And this is talking about them engaging in the UFO research, that he basically wanted to say, hey, I can kind of help out with this a little bit. I'm going to read a few paragraphs here. So he says, pending further discussion with you and Hal on your ultimate objective for having such information, I could provide the following. And I got a few, this is really interesting. Big, I wrote. So the number 2 here, actually, the name and last location of a senior officer who I believe had firsthand knowledge of U.S. government alien reproduction vehicles at Area 51 and associated locations. Number 3, the names and current location of a retired senior flag rank officer who I believe was directly involved in the government interaction with a significant UFO event on the East Coast of the U.S. and I believe has, by virtue of his former leadership position, high military rank and control of significant military forces, direct knowledge of U.S. government involvement in this business. And number 4 here, a list of civilian government contractors who, by virtue of their past and current highly classified work, current abilities, clearances, special personnel, and geographical areas of concern, most likely have current involvement in and knowledge of U.S. government work in alien-derived technologies, crashes, landings, and associated
what's
events.
the associated events is kind of interesting. Abductions, maybe?
Maybe like Roswell stuff.
Or, yeah, well, that'd
Crashes.
be a crash, right? Or maybe like just encounters, and stuff like that.
I'm going to skip a few more pages down here. Like I said, there's a lot. The document will be in the description if you want to read all the pages. Thomas Wilson here, he says, I wanted to know about their crash UFO program, what the role in that was, what they had. Also asked if they heard of MJ-12 or some organization code relating to crash UFO recovery.
I guess that's the way that a transcript of a conversation goes. There's an awful lot of exclamation points used, I thought, early on at least. I'm looking for more, but of course, I don't see any.
Okay, now this part was interesting here. I had to underline it and stuff here. So we got Thomas Wilson being told no U.S. government personnel are to gain access unless they meet the criteria. And then Dr. Davis asked, what are the criteria? And then Thomas Wilson said, I asked for that, but they refused to give the answer. They operate without official oversight or any justification. Politically dangerous place to be. I didn't meet the special criteria, so need to know authorization was not being granted. And they talked about a bigot list. Now the bigot list is who has access to these programs. Most were program employees. Davis asks, is there any politicians? He says, no president, no congressional people, no congressional staffers. Just a handful of names were Pentagon individuals that he recognized. So the program manager said they were not any weapons programs, not intelligence programs, not special ops, but I got it highlighted here. They were reverse engineering programs, something recovered years ago in the past. Technological hardware was recovered. They had an intact craft they believed could fly. And then he says right here, was it from overseas or not? No, could not be, not possible. It was technology that was not of this earth, not made by man, not by human hands. That is,
that's interesting.
for this being a big official document, this is what evidence people want. It's here. Is this enough for people now?
It's interesting here, Dan, too, because this was in 97 is when all of this went down. This is recorded in 2002.
Correct.
It seems like by that time frame, they would have a little bit better idea, because haven't we supposedly been interacting with these beings for decades, if not longer? And, to be in 97 and not... and
I think there might be some translation issues. Well, it depends on the beings.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I guess there's supposed to be some that look like us that are working with us too. But
versus
again, there's probably so many different sectors because no one talks to each other. That's the big issue.
Yeah, and they do that for secrecy and stuff.
Compartmentalization.
Right? Yeah, right. So maybe that's it. Is that they're just given a craft, and this guy, he doesn't need to know if it was from the Orion Belt, or whatever. He doesn't. His job isn't to care where it came from. It's to reverse engineer it.
Yeah.
So go.
When you talk about compartmentalization and stuff,
Yep.
This is the big issue with these programs because they're only getting people in there for their secrecy. If they had this open to the public, things would go a lot quicker.
Oh, sure.
People know what they're doing. And we've had that alien video where the alien starts coughing, the doctors come in or whatever.
Yeah, to assist them, yeah.
They just got them for their secrecy instead of their medical abilities. But now if you can get the best of the best coming in, working with each other, we can actually reverse engineer craft better, make it work, figure it out in advanced civilization.
Sure, yeah. Let some of these startups get a hold of some of this stuff,
And that's the thing. That's what's going to happen eventually anyway. And the government knows it. So that's why this whole TTSA thing.
Well, they're trying to keep it within themselves so they can militarize it. Before, typically it's a military purpose and then the civilian purpose follows up, Space Force. So they don't want us to go public because then everybody will have it before they can capitalize on the military's strategic.
Well, yeah, then they're afraid of other governments using it too.
Strategery.
But at some point, like I've always said on the show, we're killing each other with drones. It's like who can build, like, it's like battle bots. It's like, okay, you build a big machine and we whacked yours out, so I guess we're the winners. It's like, at the end of the day, it's like, how does this work? Like, war is kind of useless.
What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
So back to the doc. Their program was going, like we said here before, the program was going for years and years, very slow progress. And we said that's because they're shows for secrecy. So the bigot list, the people that work there, we're talking like 400 to 800 people. It fluctuated depending on what was going on. And Thomas Wilson says, I was angry because they defined my authority to be read in with good logical reason, wouldn't budge. I was to immediately drop the matter and let it go. I did not have purview over their project. It didn't fall within my oversight. I did not follow their suggestion that I would not see the director DIA promotion, get early retirement, lose 1 or 2 stars along the way. And they got really incredibly angry, and it even says livid over this. Now that's what they do, is they threaten these people, like, oh, you're not going to do that. We're just going to take away your retirement. Luis Elizondo said the
same thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. We'll just, you've violated your contract. We'll pull all the plugs. Well, that would be the best that they would do. I mean, the worst case scenario, you've got your wife and kids and grandkids on the line,
Oh yeah, that's absolutely right. It's not so much your death, but they'll kill people close to you or do stuff. And then, of course, he's getting angry. He says, I do have relevant regulatory statutory authority over their program. That's my position.
That's the whole point of his position, yeah.
So that's why he's getting angry about it. Again, the bigot list, corporate type scientists, technicians, engineers, scientists, and managers. This was interesting here. He talked to Gansler in 98 about his June 97 meeting. And he said, UFOs are real, so-called alien abductions not real.
So that's us abducting our own people. That's a popular theory. Yeah,
and Greer's touch upon that these are basically robots, biological robots or whatever, that they're abducting people to make them scared of the whole alien thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, I kind of think that is going on, but I don't think all of them are that way either, because some of it's like, some got abducted by the Greys. I think, what was his name? Mark's. It's not Mark Spencer. It's the name escapes me, but I read his book. They were Greys. They were abducting him and having him sit in front of monitors and showing like the planet going to hell because of our choices with
environment and political and
Yeah.
societal problems and stuff. So, abduct the head of the UN and show him that, not just some random guy. But anyway.
And who's to say that they're not? A lot of these, like, people are getting abducted and then they forget what happens.
Yes. And then it comes back to the bits and pieces.
The whole idea is like you get acclimated. So you just, start doing it on your own without having to.
Oh, like subliminal almost.
Yeah.
You just start doing that.
That's an interesting way to do that. But actually, that was the last page of the document. I said I highlighted the best things I found on it. It was quite a long read. I will have it linked in the description. Now, this is, quote unquote, an official document. Richard Dolan talked about it. Also, Grant Cameron. Who I can listen to Grant Cameron a lot easier than Richard Dolan. Is something about the way he talks.
Can you scroll back up to the top, just on the header of it, just so I want to see what that letterhead was.
Oh, the letter. That was
there we go. Yeah,
within the document. That was the one addressed to Dr. Eric Davis.
Oh, and that was when I talked about what he could.
That was coming from Willard.
Yeah, scroll back up if you don't mind, just for giggles. Warp drive metrics.
So people want some evidence. This is big. This came out again in June. This was released beforehand to Richard Dolan and Grant Cameron. They've had it. They were sitting on it. I know Grant Cameron has sat on it since like December.
Oh, really?
Because they didn't want to release it. Sometimes people were hoping that they would release it. But the thing with them, they're in these positions where they're supposed to be entrusted with information. So they don't want to like throw this out there because then all of a sudden they lose kind of like that confidentiality that people expect.
Mhm.
So then eventually it was leaked from somewhere else. So then they started talking about it. But the thing is, they had this in their possession for some time. So very interesting there. So did you finish up the To the Stars Unidentified? Did you watch all those episodes?
No, are they all up now?
Yeah.
I watched the first two and then just kind of.
So what's your thoughts so far?
Off of the first two, I thought that there was a lot of like redundancy in the second one, a lot of dramatic music, but some interesting stuff. If you can believe the interviews and the footage and stuff, there's something going on. I mean, they have.
But it's catered to the public for them to.
It is, but it's also like by far like the most credible in the sense that they've actually got people. They're claiming it's, a lot of times in the past you'd see this type of stuff that, oh, this is for entertainment purposes only or whatever. No, they're saying it's not, and that they were bringing you the truth, and have some pretty compelling interviews from alleged, eyewitnesses and stuff.
Pilots, actually.
Pilots, yeah.
So they should know their stuff.
Right.
One thing that was interesting, it was towards I think it was actually the last episode, actually, the number 6. They were talking to Italy, and this is where I got concerned because they were shooting at these UFOs. They said this UFO shot this helicopter, but they could still land it.
Okay.
It was not enough for them to keep it up in the air. They landed it safely as far as I knew. But the whole deal was they were shooting back at it. They were saying that when they use their weapons is when they're actually in phase and you can shoot back at them.
Oh, sure. Yeah, because they have to manifest in a physical form to fire their weapons. Yep.
But it's like, if they have this advanced technology, they're shooting at us. We should already all be dead. I mean,
if they want to truly kill us, you're right.
It's crazy. But that was just a big thing for me. And I was like, come on. And then they would still want to push this evil alien card on all this.
What's interesting, I looked up warp drive metrics in Las Vegas, and in 2004 they had a taxpayer-funded study on teleportation, which is also interesting because just yesterday, day before, I read that, and I believe it was China, was able to successfully teleport a photon from Earth to a satellite in space.
Oh, I think I did read that a while ago.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Warp drive metrics.
It's there. Everybody says this stuff ain't possible, but slowly but surely, it's all happening.
Slowly but surely, it's all happening.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, the interesting document, like I said, this will be in the description if you care to read it yourself. The 16 pages, it's all there. This is kind of the proof people are looking for. So what's the next step? I think this is actually part of the disclosure initiative. So.
Looks good, Dan. Looks good.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Hohlfeld, Pete Halbleib, we'll see you for another episode later.